Hey, welcome back. It's Jimmy the Mad Vaper here. I've been listening to everybody about the dual coils in the Lemo, about the bad video on that. Hey, I was just getting started back then, so I want to go ahead and redo this video so you get a nice up close look at this way I do these dual coils in the Lemo with the crisscross wires on one side only without having to use those little screws. Those little screws are way too small to be trying to wrap wire around there for dual coils. I've seen some videos of somebody doing that, and to me, it's a lot of work for nothing. Those holes are there. Why not use them? You're using on the other video I've seen, the guy's using so much wire you could make another coil for how much wire he throws away. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you an up close look of how I make these dual coils, the positions of them, how to go ahead and get them in place. It's not too hard once you get used to it. A lot of you have already seen how I've done it and gotten used to it. But for those that could not see it up close look, here is an up close look right now. Let's go ahead and break her down, show you how to rebuild her. Alright, now building the coils for this, you're going to have one wrap one way and one wrap the opposite way. Show you what I'm talking about. Now this one we're going to wrap, say, clockwise, counterclockwise. Alright, there's 10 wraps counterclockwise. You can use any cooler you want, or even a drill bit. Just make sure you're doing clockwise or counter. Snip this coil off. Just gonna sit right there to the side for a minute. Now on this one, we're going to do the opposite. So before we wrapped, we were turning this way. Now we're going to do the opposite. Give yourself a little bit of a leg there. Alright, as you see, just sitting side by side. Well, this one the legs up top, that one the legs on the bottom. That's what you want, both, two of them opposite. That's the secret on this build. So you have the wires crossing on one side only. Push that on again. Alright, let's go ahead and prepare these coils. It's just what I like using. I like using a little pair of needle nose. Take your drill bit or whatever you used. Slip your coil in there. Pull your wires straight. You want the legs of the coil to go down the side of the coil. So I like using needle nose. Gives it about, I don't know, 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit more. Just grab a hold of it, bend it down, your drill bit. Repeat the other side. Grab it, bend it down the opposite way. Now your legs are obviously going to be too long, and they're just snip them down. Leave about on each leg 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch. You can always re-snip it after you got in the Lemo. Alright, there's first coil. Little leg sticking there. I'm going to do the same thing on this one, and you'll see you'll have opposites after that. Zoom in there. As you can see in this close-up, the legs are opposites. Let's take out this old original coil. Make sure you open your screws all the way up, but don't let them fall out on you. Okay. Start with one side and put a leg in the first hole. Get your other coil with the same hole, put the next leg in. Just like that. Let me zoom in so you can take a nice close look at that. So I got one leg of each coil in one hole. Alright, and then first you can take your first coil, like to put the drill bit or whatever back in there. Take your other leg, run into the other hole on the other side of the Lemo. If you make the legs a little bit longer, it's a little easier to do. If not, just bend it on the deck a little bit. Slide it right in. Work it in there. So she goes all the way through. Now let her just lay there on the deck for now. And we're going to take the other one. On the opposite side. Do the same thing. Don't worry about if your coil comes a little unraveled. You'll pinch it off in a minute anyway. Alright, let me zoom in there so you can see what's going on. As you can see, now I've taken one leg on the other side and the other hole. You got pretty much of a mess there, but once you tighten your screws up, just do them snug. You don't want to do them super tight because you will cut those wires right in half. Luckily, you do have two 28 gauge wires in there, so it doesn't squish them as quick. Now, the coil that you have up higher, do that one first. You're going to pull it straight up and position it on top of the screw. Slide it out. And the other one, you got to be careful because that leg is over there. Do the same thing. Pull it straight up and over top of the screw. Straight up over top of the screw. Now the reason we did the coils in opposite directions, I'll show you right here. Zoom up. There's no wires on this side. Directly in, directly in. So you have no crossing of the wires on this side. On the other side, you will have crossing of the wires. You make sure these wires do not touch. See, this coil here has a little bit of extra play into it. We can actually pull that one over and up. That one there, straight up. You see, they're not touching. There is a gap there. Let's go ahead and heat these up, and we'll get them final positioned. Yeah, I don't want to pulse it because those two cross, they'll burn through them. As long as we pulse them, a little pinch, a little pinch. Gotta be careful with 28 gauge with pinching them together. They will overlap on themselves. Once you get them firing about middle of each one, heat them up a good bit there. Heat them up a good bit. Reinsert your drill bit or rod. Then give your final positioning right over top of the screw, parallel with the deck. So that's what you should have finished. You'll have the X on this side. You see, you have the X on this side only. And on this side, no wires, just wires into each of the hole. So you're going to have 2 wires in each hole, but only an X on that side. If you accidentally roll the coils the same direction, both of them, what you'll end up with is an X on both sides. Comes a little bit more trickier when you're trying to position these coils, trying to do anything with these coils. So I found the easiest way to do that is the X only on the one side by wrapping one way, one the other. Alright, let's go ahead and put some cotton on her. Alright, it's time to go ahead and wick her up. Some fresh organic cotton here. A small bit of cotton. Now you don't have to use as much cotton as you normally would because you got dual coils going on here. Too much cotton, she ain't gonna wick right, so you just want to pull it through. You see that right there? That's not enough cotton. So let's grab a little bit more. You want her to pull through, but not too easy. But you don't want it too tight either, so you really don't want too much cotton, because then you'll start getting dry hits. That feels about right. Just where she starts to move that coil slightly, you know you got good on there. Just step it down real quick for now. To the other side. There she goes. Here, just barely moving that. That's just enough. You just want to snip the cotton about equal each side. Now you'll know you have enough. You just want to go down to where it, so after a cut equal, you don't want to just, when they go down, you just want them to rest on the deck. Rest on the deck. Make sure your length is good by just doing that dry. Rest on the deck. Now you're going to cross these when we put them on. Got a little bit of loopy here. Let's go ahead and get the bottom of them nice and wet. Same as anything, you want to get a little juice on there, keeps them tacky, keeps them up against the base of it. Alright. So you're going to take one side, have it go down, but go to the other side there. And this one over top of the other one. If you haven't done so, another little modification you can do, your juice channel, you get a nice little Dremel from Walmart for about $2. You can take it and run it up and down that thing with a drill. Gouge out that juice channel a little bit more. She'll throw a lot more juice in there, a lot less dry wicking. So, not necessary, but I did to mine and I haven't regretted it. Just a little extra juice flow makes all the difference, especially if you have a high VG juice. Well, do the same thing. This one's spread out across the whole one. This one's spread out across the other one. You do not want it to go down your juice channel. Just make sure it goes across. Now this is going to puff up inside the chamber, so it's going to cover the juice channel, but it's not going to be, you don't want it down in it. Alright, so we got the cotton down on the base and all. We want to get our chimney first part. Lay it down across. When you lay it down across, take a look down at that juice channel. Make sure the cotton ain't sticking into that juice channel on each side. If you see pieces running down into the juice channel, go ahead and make sure they're coming up. Slowly turn it on there. Go ahead and look from the top as you're turning it on. Nice and slow. Take your time turning it on there. You don't want that cotton to move around and get down the juice channels or anything. And you get her down there, and you just go ahead and screw the rest of the way. Take a look in there, make sure the cotton hasn't moved. If you see all your cotton going to one side, you know it's moved. Go ahead and take a little piece of Canthol and move it around. If you wick it properly when you first do this though, and pop her on there, you ain't gonna have no trouble. You don't have to, right now I don't need any adjustments. Looks good. He's ready to go. Put the base back on. Throw it on the device real quick. Right now I'm using IPv3. Let's look here. So I'm ohming at 0.85, 86, 87. It's firing good and everything. Go ahead and throw a little bit of extra juice down those juice channels. Just put a little juice in there. Screw the rest of your chimney on. take this off for the rest of this. Now this is a long version. This is not the drop, but it's just the drop is the same device essentially, so you can use either or. I'm just going to throw the juice in from the top right now. Top on. Now we're ready to vape. Okay, we got her all put back together now. Now this will work in the deal with the Lemo Drop or the Lemo. It's the same device, just a shorter tank. So this is on the main device. Let's go ahead and see how she vapes. A lot of flavor, a lot of vape in a Lemo. Now, those two dual coils that we built were on a 3mm rod and 10 reps, 28 gauge. I like using 28 gauge in a Lemo. It works better. The wires fit in the holes perfectly, especially the 2-wire method. It's ohming out at a 0.84, 0.85. A lot of vapor, no dry hits. Just pure flavor there. I mean, it is a good way to go ahead and do dual coils on the Lemo. There is some other tanks out there that make dual coils a lot easier, say the Billow, the Goblin, the Orchid, but you know, most of them have leaking issues. Now the Lemo, I mean, she is my go-to tank. I love this tank. You can some people say you lay it on the side, it leaks. Me, I haven't had trouble. I laid it in my car seat on the way to work. Hour-and-a-half drive on the way to work. Never leaks. Carried around my pockets. Never leaked. Never broke. And I'm a surveyor, so I'm down in the dirt all day, in the trenches, jumping around, in and out of the woods, banging this thing to hell. And she's never gave me problems. Ever. So the Lemo tank is unbelievable. The dual coils in there, it's even better. Now, cold weather, if you're outside, you might want to stick with a single coil because, you know, when juice gets cold, it doesn't like to wick properly. So in the summertime, yeah, you can run these dual coils outside. Wintertime, go with a single coil, space slightly, a little less cotton. Really lets that juice get into those wicks a lot easier in the wintertime. Okay, guys, I hope that helps with the up-close video of the dual coils. It's Jimmy the Mad Vaper, and we'll see you next time.